I'm going to build a cord handle. This one I did about 8 years ago. It's a little faded, but seems to hold up great. Got these hard foam pieces and these pre-made pieces that are available to support the carbon fiber tube that I get from USA Made Factory. And I like to put the gimbal on. And I'm going to build it on TRMF76H because it's going to be a popping rod. First thing I do, I'm going to cut a groove in these that'll accept my cord. It's pretty basic. I'll give you the gist. So I can tuck my cord into that groove when I slide it in this handle, like that. I'm going to cut these to length, and I'm going to go ahead and ream these to fit my blank. Alright, just so you can see that groove a little better in my EVA pieces. And this is how it goes together. I like to have a little gap in here. It'll kind of give me a spot for epoxy to lock things together. That's where my cord will go from inside to outside, right through that groove. And we're going to have a gimbal on here. It's right in there. So I'm ready to put some epoxy on some stuff. It'll be a little bit awkward doing some of this backwards, but I usually put this one on from the bottom just so I can avoid some mess. Already got that guy glued on. I got some rough marks on here so I know where to start and stop my epoxy. I like to hold my stick at an angle and I can just kind of drive the epoxy on all the way around the blank. The epoxy's going off pretty quick here. I like to use the quick stuff so I can get on to the next step while I'm doing these cord handles. Make sure I get everything covered. And that carbon fiber tube will squeegee it on for the most part. Always fill that little groove where my cord's going to go. I'm paying attention to where my groove is here. Cleaning off the bulk of it, but I need to keep a little on there for my cord. I'll slide my gimbal on, make sure everything's located correctly. I'll pull it off and glue it later. I do this pretty tight. Basically, I try to go as far as I've got epoxy on the tube before I stop for this part. And we'll use this to hold it till it dries. Doesn't have to dry all the way, usually 15 minutes or so. Get it done with this U40 Quick Bond. And you see I got some epoxy on some of this, so I actually use Goof Off for this part and a toothbrush, because it'll get every bit of that out of there. The Goof Off is pretty hardcore, and the toothbrush bristles get it out of the cord. There you go. I like how the tag end stuff's inside. There's nothing to tuck. It's a nice clean transition. Okay, I'm all set up in the wrapper here. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this belt off that, and I'm going to go around both the dryer and the wrapper pulley. I don't know if that's recommended or not, but that extra bit of tension is going to make it so I can wrap my cord tight. I got my cord sitting in a bucket so it'll feed to me nice and even, and I like to hold a lot of tension on it, so it's not as important with the black cord, but when you're using cords with patterns and your tension is uneven, then your pattern is uneven. When the person not having glue, pull them to this length, I have to keep yourself up to no tension. And when I get down to the end, I'm going to stop just about a 1/4 inch short, because I like to apply a little epoxy there. And this is another stopping point. So I can get a little epoxy under that point. So I'll mix up a little epoxy and finish it up. So I'm going to go back here and just make sure I got my tension good. I'm going to wrap it to the end of this tube by hand and figure out exactly where I want to wind up and cut the cord. But I don't like to leave any of that carbon fiber showing on this, so kind of trick to hold it and get it all done here. I'm going to go right about there, leave myself a little tag to tuck inside, and I can let that go. Again, I'm going to put a little bit on the carbon fiber tube itself here. Don't put a lot on, just enough to lock it up. I'm going to glue this thing, and I'm going to be sure and fill my groove for the cord here. Blank inside there. Hold that EVA piece in place. Just going to clean up a little of this excess that's going to mush out. Come back tension. Take this off now. It's awkward to hold this cord at this point because it wants to jump off of the carbon. I've done this a few times. So generally it's not a big problem. Then I'm going to tuck my cord inside that carbon. I'm going to line up my groove in my EVA. And I'm going to go like this. And I kind of screw it in a little bit just so I'm pulling a little extra tension on there. Again, with my toothbrush, I'm going to make sure I get it good and clean. And here it is.